Operators are one of the most important parts of JavaScript. If you want to create something and if you want to calculate something or if you want to do any kind of operations, operators are required. We have basically arithmetic operators. Those are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And for addition, we use a plus sign, and for subtraction, we use the minus sign, and for multiplication, we use the star sign, and for division, we use the forward slash sign. Assignment operator is basically an equal to sign. So basically you assign something to something else. For example, here we have a value called a plus b, and the result of that we are storing inside another variable called result. Now here we are using the assignment operator to assign all of these values to the result. There are multiple ways how you can work with the assignment operators. For example, you have a score and you're assigning that score to the value of 10. So you'll be basically writing score is equal to score plus 10. One of the easiest way to write this is simply specifying score plus equal to 10. There is no mandatory rule that you have to use only this one or this specific one. You can choose which one is easier to use. The same way we have options for other operators like plus equal to, minus equal to, multiplication equal to, and division equal to. We have operator precedence. So basically in JavaScript, what happens is the value for the multiplication is given first and then the value for the other operators are given next. For example, if we have a variable called result and inside that we are storing 10 plus 10 multiplied by 5, which should be the answer actually 100, but we don't get that 100 here, we get 60. That's because the multiplication happens first. So we have 10 into 5, which is 50, and then it adds up to the 10, so that becomes 60 there. So if you want the answer to be exactly how you want it and you want the addition to happen first, then you'll have to put it inside the parentheses. So that would be like 10 plus 10, put that in parentheses, and then you're multiplying that with the 5. So what happens here is the 10 plus 10 gets added first and then it gets multiplied by 5. And then those values are stored inside the 100. The same way we have comparison operator where we can compare one variable to another variable. So if you have a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 10, a lot of people forget that is equal to is an assignment operator and they use it like this. So if you do this, what happens is when you say a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 10, but in the if statement when you specify a is equals to b, the value of b is now changed to a. And now by default it is going to be true. It's not going to show you an error. It's not going to show you any kind of debug message or anything. It simply will stop running. So in this way, this particular code becomes an bug. So make sure that you use the assignment operator properly. And this is a assignment operator, not a comparison operator. So here we'll have to do the comparison. For example, here we have a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 10. When we compare this, use the double equal to sign, a is equals to b, obviously the answer will be false because a is not equal to b. We have another operator with a triple equal to sign. So basically we are checking whether a is equals to b. So here, yes, it is going to be false because a is not equal to b. Most of the times, let's just say you set the a is equals to 5 and you set the b in with the string option with 5 inside it, and if you use this, it's still going to be false. Let me show you an example of how this works. Okay, here I'm inside my code. I'm going to specify var a is equals to 5 and I'm going to set var b is equals to, I'm going to put it in quotations, I'm going to set it as 5. And let me close this and let's create a simple comparison operator. So I'm going to say if, and here if I specify that a is equals to b, and then inside this I'm going to specify the answer with the console.log, and I'll give the answer as true. So let's see if this works. I'm going to save this, go to copy path, paste it in the browser and hit refresh. Now if I right click and inspect, you can see there is a console tab here. Just click on that one and you can see that it is giving it as true. So let's do the same thing when I specify the 3 equal to sign. If I assign this, basically it's going to check whether a and b are strictly equal to each other. So if I save this and now I'm going to go back to my browser and if I hit refresh, it doesn't give me any answer. That's because I have not given any else option. So let's write some else statement. Else, say console.log is false. Let's save this one, and if I get back here and if I hit refresh, you can see it says false. Now what happens is if I remove just one operator here and if I say this and if I get back to my browser and hit refresh, that's going to be true. Because in double equal to sign, what happens is we are basically checking whether the values are equal to or not. Yeah, in this case both are equal, but when I use the triple equal to sign, we are basically asking the program to check the values strictly. So strictly whether they are equal to each other or not. So in this case, if I get back and hit refresh, that's going to set it as false. In the same comparison operator, we have whether it is not equal to a specific value. For example, we have a is equals to 5 and b is equals to 10. And if I say here that if a is not equal to b, that's going to be true because here a is not equal to b. And if you're using this strict comparison, then you'll be using a double equal to sign with a exclamatory mark. So that is going to be also as true. There are some other comparison operators. For example, we have here we check whether a is greater than b, whether we check a is lesser than b, a is greater than or equal to b, whether it is lesser than or equal to b. The same way we have logical and or operator. So most of the times if you want to compare several things, let's just say you have around like 7 to 8 different values which you want to compare. So basically we're going to check like this. We'll say that if a is equals to b and c is equals to d, then we are going to write something. So what happens here is we are comparing both the options together. So let's just say if I want to skip one and I want to check only one of it is true, then I'm going to use OR method. So it's going to be like if a is equals to b or c is equals to d, the program is going to run. Let me give an example. Let's just say if the username and password is correct, then we'll let the user log in. In the OR method, if the username is a name or an email, we will let the user log in. The same way we have a modulus, but in modulus instead of dividing or multiplication, we are checking the remainder. For example, I just create an year called 2003, and if I want to check the leap year of that particular year, then I'll be writing to the modulus of 4. So that will give me a remainder with the 3. The same way we have increment and decrement. For example, instead of writing a is equals to a plus 1, we can write a plus or equal to 1 or a plus plus. It is exactly the same as plus plus a, or the same thing goes for the subtraction also. But there's a quite difference when it comes for prefix and postfix. So in my case, I'm using a prefix here. So what happens is when you create a variable a is equals to 5, and if you set the prefix option, that is plus plus a, the answer would be 6. But if you use a postfix, it's going to result it to 5. Now what's happening here is when you're setting plus plus a prefix is already added. That means 1 is already added to the particular variable. So your answer would be 6. But if you say postfix, it's going to still give you 5, but the next time when you create something, it's going to give you 6. Now that we have looked into the if and else statement, the same way we have ternary operator. Ternary operator usually gets assigned with the question mark. So I'm going to show you how this ternary operator works. So let's just say we have a player 1 with a score of 500 and we have a player 2 with a score of 600, and then we have a variable set to high score. So right now I do not have any value for the high score because I want to check that. So here I'm going to write an if else statement that if player 1 score is greater than player's 2, then we'll set the high score to the player 1. Else we'll set the high score to the player 2. This is using the if else statement. Now we can do the same thing with the ternary operator. So we will set the variable high score, and here we are going to check whether the player 1 has the high score greater than player 2. If this condition is met to true, then we'll take player 1 as the high score, or we will take the player 2 as the high score.